I've worked with athletes from 28 different sports, and people always make fun of me when I mention that like the good level CrossFit athletes I work with are among the strongest and best overall athletes I've worked with, because people have this perception of like what they see in the CrossFit fail videos and all that stuff. Well, you could show like bodybuilding failed video also, but it's just that failing on a curl is just not that impressive. But like I've seen like CrossFit individual in person deadlifting over 600. Alex and Jay deadlifting over 600, cleaning 400 or close to it, and snatching over 300. I mean, these guys and girls are very strong. Now, you yourself competed in the games. You trained athletes who competed in the games and competed in regionals. What are some of the impressive feats of strength that you've seen among athletes in competing in CrossFit?
Well, if you go with the Olympic lift, I saw one girl squat clean 265.
That would be Hakim, right?
Hakim, and she racked 275, but didn't go up. So that's one of the biggest I saw.
Yeah, 265 would be national level, if not like national medal level in Olympic weightlifting.
Yeah, that would be for a guy like close to 400 pounds also.
Yeah.
385, 400 pounds.
For the ratio, yeah.
I saw also a split jerk from a big guy, ex-football player, 375, 385, around this. Yeah. And another big guy also snatched 305 pounds also. So these are like huge, huge lifts.
Yeah, when I competed myself, of course I was a lousy technician, but I mean, I still was fairly strong, and it took me like 6 years to hit 315 in a snatch, and I hit that once in my life. Most of the time I would hit like 265. So
that's huge.
Yeah, but a guy like doing CrossFit, I was doing Olympic weightlifting 3 times a day sometimes. And that guy like snatches once a week, twice a week, and it snatches 300, 315. Yeah. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
Now these guys, have you seen like also impressive squats? I know that some of these guys are squatting pretty much pretty heavy weights.
Yeah, well now for the guys now, the standard is like you gotta hit that 4-plate squat, 405 for 1, 2, 3 reps. And just before, I remember there was like the standards, what the games athletes are doing versus the regionals athletes, and you could saw like the difference. Like the games athlete were like at 115, 425, 435. Though the regional guys like much stronger because they didn't have like all those components the games athlete have. There was people having like 450, 475. That's huge. I saw one guy pulling from the ground on his deadlift 550, squatting 450. These are like huge standards actually.
For guys who are like sometimes like in the low 200, sometimes below 200 pounds, because we're not talking about guys who are 250 here.
Yeah, no, they're like weighing 185. I know a guy is like 170, and he back squat 3 reps for 15. That's huge, yeah. But he's a strong guy, but he's working on his strength, also doing a lot of strongman, doing a lot of powerlifting also in his CrossFit during his summertime. He's not like doing like metcons and everything, really focusing on the good stuff.
How much actual strength work do you include in the training of the athletes you work with?
I included a lot actually. Well, you know what? Before there was like that mindset that it was all about strength. You know, it was like strength work, put up your strength. Everybody was using like this squat cycle, this squat cycle, and that deadlift cycle. It was like 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
Smaller
cycle is probably one of the most popular ones.
But
it's still popular actually.
What I noticed with the smaller cycle is that you probably had like, let's say 1/3 of the people who had good results from it, 1/3 who had so-so results, and 1/3 actually lost strength.
Yeah.
From what my theory is that those who actually got like really strong from a small of cycle are those who were injured and they couldn't do as much CrossFit stuff, so they could focus solely on small up. Those who kept on doing CrossFit but at a lower volume were having decent progress. And those who kept on the regular CrossFit volume and a smaller cycle decreased in strength.
Yeah.
It was just too much. Even if you go on the internet, for example, and you read about the smaller cycle, they recommend not training the deadlift hard at the same time because it's just too much to recover from.
Exactly.
So people take these programs, I want to get strong, yeah, but you have to reduce work somewhere else, otherwise you won't be able to recover.
True. I find it sometimes it's a bit fancy sometimes to look at these they're looking to like the best squat cycle ever.
Yeah.
I think nothing can beat like a good periodization on your squat, going with a certain volume, dropping the volume, going out with the intensity. Your squat's gonna get higher. Also, it depends on what you're gonna do after and what you did the day before and after. Mostly than your small off cycle.
That's the thing. If you're squatting with a small off 4 days a week, and it's hard to program the rest of the training week because you always will be like have a hard time recovering from the squat workout.
That's for sure.
So that's the big problem. And really, what I always found funny with the first time I looked at the small off cycle, I just read it. So, well, that's what we always did in Olympic weightlifting. We squatted 4 times a week. That's exactly what we did. So to me, it wasn't anything special. I mean, of course, and Alex and I talked about it in the capsule, of course, if you're going to squat often, then your squat is going to go up. The problem with the small off cycle, it has the right idea of the high frequency, but every week you push yourself hard.
Yeah.
Every workout, it's hard. Exactly.
Yeah.
Every workout is hard.
Yeah.
So if you're squatting 4 days a week, you can have like one hard workout. The rest is more technique work, volume work. And the small off has that a bit, but it's still pushing to your limit every single day.
Yeah.
And you can't recover from that.
Yeah.
So normally, how do you split the strength workout in a week? Do you have like 2 upper body, 2 lower body?
It depends on the cycle actually. So if we go like in like the first cycle was more hypertrophy, I was going more building up like that strength endurance. Because we're not doing so much this. We're always working for strength, 5 sets of 5, let's go for 6 reps, 6 sets of 3, and we're never going for a 12 or 15 rep max. Some people have a hard time to push themselves, so I'm like, go for 15 or 20 reps until you cannot anymore. Not in the squat, but like just the regular movement you're gonna find. Like let's say some push-ups, some ring roll, like the basic stuff, like really building the foundations. And then when there's a good blood flow going in the body, you recover from your competition, then we can start the strength cycle. And on the first strength cycle, I'm not squatting like 3 or 4 days a week actually. First of all, depending on the athletes, I'm going to look at what are the weakest link, what are the weakest point. I'm going to really focus on this, so structural balance like we talked about in the previous capsules. If the weakest link is the squat, like I just had that guy who's I was looking at his number and his front squat was like 355 and his back squat was like 385. I was like, I think I got a problem here. Maybe it's a motor pattern problem while you're doing your back squat. Maybe it's a muscular problem while you have the bar on your shoulders.
Maybe like very short legs and a long torso.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of like this. And and upper back was not so strong. He had a hard time to connect with his lat while doing a deadlift. So we really focused on that. So that guy was doing like 2 squats a week, but it was really focusing on a position. So he had like a wide stance box squat. I really want to help him to focus more on the posterior chain. And he had like a tempo squats. And you have 1 day of strongman just to deload a bit because it was strenuous for him doing squats.
What do you do for strongman when using the strongman drills?
Like it's CrossFit athletes. So if I go like just, okay, let's find your farmer's walk, your best for 10 meters. I cannot have like 2 or 3 exercises like this. I'm gonna have like 1 main exercise. Let's say we're gonna go for a front rack yoke carry, build up for 20 meters max weight today. And then I'm gonna have like an EMOM where I'm gonna use like a little bit less strenuous exercise, but still I'm doing strongman. So let's say we're gonna have like in CrossFit, they like to play with D-balls instead of stones. So I can have like a D-ball hold, a D-ball cleans.
I actually like those hold and carry for biceps. I do that with biceps curl as a superset.
And it's a super good one. I like to do this one, but with kettlebell farmer's carry actually. So yeah, D-ball cleans. When you finish, you can go with like a little 30 double under just to keep the heart rate a little bit higher. Second minute farmer's walk, build up for keep 80% of your best farmer's walk for 30 meters. And the last minute is the rest because it's really strenuous on the body still. So I'm playing with that. I'm playing with like 1 or 2 exercises, then I'm putting in an EMOM, and then the job is done.
You also use a lot of sled work from what I remember, right?
Yeah.
Sled pushing. What's your reasoning behind that?
Using sled push, actually, what I like is that there's so much squat in CrossFit. There's so much hip flexion that it's normal that you get like athletes coming in the gym like, oh, my hips are tight, my hips are tight. Well, first of all, you cannot do too much strength focusing on your squats because you're going to squat anyways after all. But if this is your weakest link, you should squat. But if for a regular athlete that have not so much hole, I'm not gonna put so much squat. I'm gonna try to transfer it in another type of exercise like the sled, which is multiple concentric contractions. The next day, I'm not off. I just feel a little bit my legs I've worked, but so much less than if I would do like
there's no muscle damage.
Yeah, exactly. Super good.
For the same reason, I really like to use sled push with in-season athletes. Let's say a hockey player, football player, because they can maintain their leg strength, but it will not negatively affect their performance on the practice the next day or a game because there's no eccentric damage. And if your nutrition is good, then you're going to replenish glycogen store fairly easily. So you can do that almost every single day and you still recover.
And you can have a pretty good workout actually just putting that sled push in that strongman HEMOM, or just we're going to work your anaerobic threshold also. Put down the weights, put 30-40% of your max. Keep it for every minute on the minute for 10 minutes for 30 meters and work through that. Super good one. And a lot of CrossFit athletes have a lot of difficulty to do that. And much more those guys coming from Olympic weightlifting, where the moment there's a little building up of lactic acid, they can't do anymore. And it's like they're out for 15 seconds and the little guys are passing them. So there's a little hole in the game. Yeah, that's the thing.
All right, thanks, man.
No problem.